Hi, it's Michelle, and today I wanted to talk about why you might regress back into old coping mechanisms or habits. And I have a specific example with a client that I've worked with. And so, right now, I just want to say that it's okay. Everyone is sort of going through the emotional ups and downs, and you might find yourself coping in the only way that you might know how, which is through food if you are an emotional eater. And so, usually in day to day life, when we have work or we have our regular routine, we've created other coping mechanisms. And now that our routine has been shifted, we might go back to our old patterns just to feel safe, to feel in control. But we know that they don't work for us to have our healthiest bodies or healthiest selves. So, this client that I've worked with, we went through a 3 month period, and she worked with me for 3 months, and it's been a really long time since I've seen her, and she was able to sustain the changes we made. We did a lot of strategies around nourishing her body, just getting educated on what that means, putting in the right nourishment, creating strategies in her day so she's able to prepare meals for herself and to really give to her body and create that space. But what happened is that as time has gone by, and now with the new situation she's in, she has been finding herself triggered back into emotional eating. And we did work a little bit with it, but I could tell she was a little bit hesitant to go deeper. Because sometimes when we have strategies that are working for us, we don't want to go deeper into what might be the emotional issue underneath. We are kind of on the surface okay with the emotional eating. We might know it's an issue and we really need to go deeper, but it's not a conscious thing. We don't want to dive into those emotions because it might feel uncomfortable. And just because we've been taught in society that emotions are uncomfortable, we try to do everything, and we're taught to do everything to avoid them. And so now we've started to work together again. And through this, we are able to dive deeper into the emotional eating, because all of that kind of strategies around nourishing her body are there most of the time. And she can start seeing where she is feeling out of control and where she is actually going into emotional eating and using food to cope. And so now we can take that and go deeper. And so this is such an amazing place to be in, because we can go deeper into what is really going on. What are you using food for? Using food to cover up emotions or needs even. And like I always say, when we're able to get into that emotion, we can start feeling it and seeing what it's the message it's trying to tell us. So when we process and feel through an emotion, what we may find out is that we have a need that we're pushing down, or we might have a belief that we want to change. And so that's why it's so important. Emotions are always going to be our messenger of what we need to change, or what we need to do, and what we need to process. So once we're able to get to that level, then on the surface, what it looks like is we're no longer going to be grabbing for foods to fulfill a need in an unhealthy way. We're going to actually ask and fulfill that need in the way it needs to be fulfilled. So instead of, avoiding calling a friend, you will call a friend instead of just eating something or trying to numb out. Or if you're feeling really sad, instead of eating something, you're actually going to sit with yourself and feel through that emotion of sadness. And of course, as we move into this emotional healing, and to resolve an emotion is amazing. That's what kind of keeps running the show if the emotion is unresolved. And as we go deeper into the emotion and being there for ourselves, sometimes it becomes complicated and we need support, we need help. We need someone to help us go deeper into this process, and we need that support, and that's totally okay. In a way, when you're connected with yourself, you're going to choose the best person to help you go into this deeper level, because what we really need in this space that we were most likely not given is someone that's really going to have compassion and empathy for what we're going through. like I said, we're conditioned to kind of not be there for our emotions, to ignore them or to put them aside, that they're not valuable. But when we start being there for our emotions, we want to invite others into supporting us, we need to know they're going to be a compassionate, empathetic space that helps us move through our emotions rather than feeling ashamed of them. And that's sort of the biggest thing that it gets to. Sometimes we feel a lot of shame for what we're feeling. And I am not immune to this as I work through this process myself and get into deeper and deeper layers. And especially during the timing we're in right now, I've found that sometimes these deeper emotions, we are almost just triggered into this coping of avoiding them. I might no longer use food to deal with my emotions because I can recognize when I'm doing that, but it doesn't mean that I don't use my mind to kind of divert my energy away from that. But as you work more and more with your emotions, you'll start feeling it in your body, that tightness, that clenching, that sort of agitation. You'll start noticing it, and that is just an invitation to go deeper. So I hope this helps you kind of understand how the process works when we're trying to move through emotional eating. The way I help clients with that is to really start nourishing their bodies. There's body acceptance in there, which I didn't talk about, but then as you move through that, you feel more strong and more capable in your body. And also you start realizing that the deeper issue is within the emotions, and getting into that space to really get to the root cause and create a healthier way of being. So I hope this video has helped you, and if you need support, please reach out. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the future.